Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about Saturn's transit into the sign of Sagittarius. Well, Saturn stays in a sign for approximately about 2.5 years. So when it transits into a new sign, it gives us a brand new set of opportunities to develop and grow through. So we're going to be experiencing this for quite some time. Now Saturn will transit into the sign of Sagittarius January 27th, and it will retrograde back out of the sign of Sagittarius June 22nd. It will retrograde back into Scorpio for a short duration, and it will stay there till October 27th. This is where Saturn will enter into Sagittarius for the rest of the time, and it will stay in Sagittarius till January 25th of the year 2020. So let me talk a little bit about what Saturn's all about, because I think it's so misunderstood. They think Saturn is bad and Jupiter is the great planet of fun. Well, it's true, Saturn usually isn't a lot of fun, but we couldn't have anything that we have if it weren't for Saturn, because Saturn deals with structure. Saturn is what gives things form in this world. If we had nothing but Jupiter, it would just be, a big party where nothing gets done and nothing gets built. So Saturn is the taskmaster, and Saturn is what gives us the ability to achieve and make things happen in our life. Saturn is about discipline, focus, structure, and responsibility. And if we didn't have these things, our life would be a mess. So most of all, what I love about Saturn is it is truly about wisdom. And wisdom only comes through experience and through age. You can't read about certain things and understand and have the achievements that Saturn gives. So the most important thing I feel about Saturn is that it gives us our spiritual growth, but in terms of worldly accomplishments, it gives us a sense of satisfaction because we have achieved our goals and we have worked hard. So what we achieve through Saturn comes through discipline, hard work, and it gives you just a feeling of satisfaction to know that you've worked for something instead of it just given to you, because you don't have the appreciation and you don't have the sense of wisdom that Saturn gives. Saturn does deal with old age. And as we get older, we learn to detach from this world because we've been there, done that. And there's just a sense of maturity that comes with this. And as we evolve and grow, well, when we're young, we think being old is the worst thing in the world. But as we get older and we look back, we think, I never want to be that age again because of what I know now. So Saturn is the wise sage, the one that has the wisdom, the one that has the truth. And Saturn going into the sign of Sagittarius, Sagittarius is all about truth, righteousness, justice, law. All of these things will become more and more important throughout this time as it makes its transit through this sign. So what you're going to find in your chart individually, the area of where Saturn's going to go in your chart is going to give you big lessons, and you will find that this will give the most growth. Now, one more thing I want to add about Saturn. As it transits into Sagittarius, I found that before was a couple of times where the stock market crashed, because it was 1929 and 1987 that Saturn was around the end of Scorpio, beginning of Sagittarius. There was always this big shift with the prices of oil too. When it goes into Scorpio, the prices of of gasoline and fuel fell. That was November of 2014. Saturn entered into Sagittarius. Well, Saturn rules crude oil. And so it made this huge drop. And as Saturn goes into Sagittarius, almost 2.5 years later, it will make a rise. Things are going to change, but the oil prices, as they rise, will have their effects and many other variables that make the stock market shift and change. And financially, it's going to be a down period. But let's talk about how Saturn will affect you individually based on which house Saturn will go to according to your ascendant sign. And remember, the ascendant signs that I'm talking about are the sidereal zodiac ascendant signs used in Vedic astrology. So I'm talking about sidereal astrology. So Saturn is going to enter into Sagittarius in the sidereal Vedic chart, not the tropical Western. So this change will make such an effect on each and every ascendant I'm going to be talking about. So let me talk about if your ascendant sign is Sagittarius, then this means Saturn is going into your first house. And when Saturn goes into the first house, you're going to find new responsibilities. Yes, you feel a heavy burden of the weight of the world is on your shoulders. And many times I find that you feel like you are more responsible for other people. Pretty much I've found that when Saturn goes into the first house, as it will for you that have Sagittarius, you may find that you take on the responsibility for a parent or an aging parent. Their health may deteriorate quite quickly. There will be some problems. And it just makes you feel slowed down. You don't have the energy or vitality you once had with Saturn going into the first house. But it does have an effect of maturity that comes over you, and you will have definitely more wisdom, more experience, more of an attitude of what your purpose in life is about. But it's not always fun, because when we have more responsibilities, when we do change in this manner and we look at life from a different perspective, it's heavy. And that's what Saturn in the first house can do. Now, on the bright side, sometimes Saturn in the first house can make you lose weight, because Saturn constricts. And so it can constrict the physical body, but you will find that you'll have more discipline and more focus. And this is good, because this can help in the area of possibly when you're trying to get a job done, you have that focus and discipline, and you will find that you work longer hours. But of course, it kind of sucks all the fun out of life. And you could find that it's a time, because of responsibility, you feel like you're aging quicker. You feel like you look and you feel older. So if your ascendant is Scorpio, this means Saturn's going into your second house. And the second house is all about finances, money. So you become more serious about bringing things together in terms of your financial security. You're going to work harder for the future to make things last. But Saturn in the second house can make you have to pull in your belt tighter. There may not be as much money to go around. There might be some constrictions on the amount of money that you're able to spend. Another thing is the second house deals with our voice, and it deals with what goes into our mouth and what comes out of our mouth. So you don't feel like communicating as much. You don't feel like connecting with people. And this can also have its effects on married life, since this does deal with family happiness. So Saturn will make you look at your life from a different perspective through partnerships, marriage. And with Saturn in the second house dealing with what we eat, this is another indication that you could lose weight. With Saturn going to the second, you just don't feel like eating as much. And Saturn in the second house it can cause some kind of regrets as to how much money that you possibly have been spending. So it makes you put the restraints in this area. So expenditure is restricted. And I just get that Saturn in the second house could be that you're not eating well, because the second house is what we eat. So you're not eating enough to give your body the nourishment that it needs. If your ascendant is Libra, this means that Saturn's going into your third house. And most likely the relationships with your brothers or sisters will not be as good, or you won't be together as often. You'll be distant, there'll be separation and possibly disagreements. You just don't understand each other, and there's miscommunications and separation. Also, the third house deals particularly with education and learning. You may find that it's time you feel the responsibility to go back to school, to be better educated, to learn more. But with Saturn here, it's going to be more difficult. So schooling, education, there could be setbacks, delays, problems. Teachers are harder. Just the whole curriculum gets harder. And you struggle through education and school during this time. You may find that it's time to pull back on trips and travel because you just don't feel like going anywhere. The third house deals with our courage, and there's a lack of that. You just don't feel like moving forward and doing anything new. And any habits that you've been wanting to tackle over the years, it seems like you just don't have the energy, the momentum, or the ambition to tackle it. So ambition and drive can be at a minimum while Saturn is in your third house as well. So if your ascendant is Virgo, then this means that Saturn is in your fourth house. And this could mean that there's a need for added security. So security is something you're working on because you feel like there's a lack of that. You may feel like you have to move out of the house you're in. There's some limitations. Or there could be something in the house that possibly goes wrong. Make sure you have insurance. Make sure the plumbing is double checked. And the fourth house can deal with vehicles such as cars, any kind of means of transportation, but specifically cars. It's not a good time to buy a car, although you may be forced to, because if your car is not serviced or, about to break down, this is the time that you're going to have to probably spring for a new car, because this represents problems with cars and vehicles. So Saturn in the fourth house, I'm talking about Virgo as your ascendant, could represent problems with the family, problems with your mother, or your mother's health could be deteriorating. So family get-togethers seem to be harder to come by, but maybe you might have to have those serious talks about aging parents and things of this nature. So this is not an easy placement because your sense of security, your sense of the past, the home, the family, this is difficult. There's a sadness that comes from this. If you have Leo as your ascendant, then this could be the time that children could either be born, because this is a new responsibility, a heavy responsibility, or it could also be where maybe you're an empty nester during this time, where the kids will leave the home, where you feel more isolated and alone from your children, where you don't understand them, you don't have the connection you used to have. And Saturn in the fifth house is not the time to make any kind of risky investments. This is the time you need to really pull back and not look at taking any risks. Be careful. And there's a seriousness about the mind and what you're thinking about and what you plan on doing with your future. But with this, you really have to think twice about jumping into anything new. Your ability to create and be creative is curtailed to a certain degree, where you don't feel like all the creative juices are coming in as they once did. So you will be thinking more along a serious, more purposeful way of thinking what you want to do with your life. You become more serious. If your ascendant is Cancer, then this means Saturn's in your 6th house, which represents hard work. You're going to be working hard, but at least there is work. You may find that you have an issue, though, getting along with your coworkers or just people that you work with or employees. This would be the time your employees could leave you right when you need them the most. So be aware that people don't support you or recognize what you need in your job, in your career, in your profession in terms of being supported. Saturn in the 6th house could bring some acute health matters that become heavier and more serious. So be aware of this. This can be a time where you need to really start looking more seriously about your health. Exercise, have the discipline, but then you just feel more tired. But this is the time where discipline can come in, where you can change a lot of difficult and bad habits. And if you've been thinking about pets, getting a new pet is not the time when Saturn's in the 6th house. As a matter of fact, when Saturn's in your 6th house, it may be the demise of a pet that you already have. If you have elderly pets, this could be a very difficult time, and this could be the time of a passing of a dear pet, and not the time to get a new one. So if your ascendant is Gemini, look out, because relationships are the focus. Saturn will be in your 7th house, and this means that relationships become more difficult. There is something that needs to be looked at and changed in terms of the relationships and how things are going. And many times it could even mean that your partner could have some problems, maybe financial problems or health problems, but you are going to have to be there to assist them, to help them, to support them. Because this is what Saturn's all about, to give that extra hard work and support. And it just doesn't seem like your partner's there enough, or even hears you, or is there enough for you. And if it comes to business partnerships, there could be a break. If you're involved with somebody in a business partnership, it may be time that things need to change, and it could represent it's a separation. And this can even make things more difficult around the workplace when Saturn's in the 7th. So if your ascendant is Taurus, this means that Saturn goes into your 8th house. And this is very difficult for matters dealing with inheritances. If there is some money that's due to you, you may find that it's going to be delayed, and this can even be in terms of money that people owe you. You may find it very difficult to collect on these past debts. And it is time to start looking at your taxes more closely. This could be a time of an audit if you're not careful. Saturn in the 8th house can cause problems with finances, particularly the money that you share with other people, such as your partner, your marriage partner, or even in business deals. This could mean that the money is restricted and not coming through. If you're worried about money coming from a legal endeavor, it will probably be delayed somewhat. But it is time to put together your financial plans for the future. This is very important that this planning take place now, because it will make a big difference for the future. Now, in areas of you researching and finding the answer to some long-standing problems, this would be the time that you could really find some deep-seated answers to problems and issues you've been struggling with for a long time. If your ascendant is Aries, this means Saturn's in your 9th house. And yes, that higher education, if you're looking to go into school for a long duration, it's going to be a hard 2.5 years during this time. Teachers, professors are going to be harder on you, and education just isn't what you thought it was going to be. You may not find like you're able to travel as much as you used to, or you just don't have the energy or desire. When it comes to legal pursuits, you're not going to get the legal advantage or the support that you thought you could get. Your legal representation is poor during this time. And if your father is still alive, there is some struggles, and this would be the time that his health could decline, and there will also be maybe a separation or not a togetherness. There is something that you have to learn through this relationship with someone that you look up as a father figure. There is definitely a hardship during this, or that the father is struggling in his life or with his profession or finances. And spirituality, it's like a lot of things that you thought you believed. You're going through a crisis where you don't believe anymore, and you feel like everything that you believed in before doesn't support you anymore. And your spirituality, your beliefs, your truths are changing. And you're a little cynical about spirituality and religion because you feel like it just hasn't given you what you expected. Or how could it be that the Spirit of God has disappointed me in such a way? So there's many disappointments in how you believe, and this is all changing. If your ascendant is Pisces, Saturn's in your 10th house. Your career is changing. Yes, you're working harder. Yes, there's more drive and there's more ambition. But it seems to be a struggle. And your boss is not supporting you in the least. And you start thinking, well, should I change jobs? Do I need to go elsewhere to get the support I need? Or should I become my own boss? But one way or another, you're not satisfied with your career, your position, or your job. And another thing is, you don't feel like how you have been portrayed looks very good to the outside world. And maybe that promotion, that raise, won't come through, and this causes disappointment. But keep trying, because something will come from your hard discipline and focus. There will be a good transitional change from your hard work, discipline, and focus. So if your ascendant's Aquarius, this means Saturn's in your 11th house. Friends will be leaving your life. Old friends that you thought you could depend on. You just don't feel like you have that togetherness anymore. You don't feel like, you feel like you've outgrown the relationship with your friendships, and you have. They've been, over a period of time, draining your energy, and you just don't feel supported by them anymore. It's time to close the door on some friendships, because when you close one door, another opens. If you have an older brother or sister, you could have problems with them. They may have some health problems, or there may be a disagreement that separates you. That's just not a time of togetherness. Your hopes, your dreams, ambitions, you are struggling to achieve. And yes, it's hard work, but it can and will pay off. So don't give up with your goals, your dreams. Keep going, keep striving. Saturn in the 11th house is one of the best placements it can be. It can, from hard work, give great gains, and that's the direction you must go. If your ascendant is Capricorn, this means that Saturn's in the 12th house, and Saturn in the 12th can bring endings, can bring completion for some long-standing projects that really need some closure. Could be the time of retirement. Saturn in the 12th house can be that you wake up to a lot of negative ways and old patterns that need to change in your life. It's an end of a cycle. It's the end of a way of believing and thinking before a new beginning will emerge. So also Saturn in the 12th house means you're not sleeping well at night because usually you're struggling and worrying about all these things that need to be finished and have closure to. Can mean that there's some people talking behind your back too. Be aware of that. Chances are you'll never find out, and chances are it doesn't matter. Because Saturn in the 12th house, you are your own worst enemy. You're the one that is holding yourself back by negative thoughts, and it's time to change. And with this realization you will, which will start a brand new future. So this completes all 12 of the signs, and I just want you to know that Saturn going through a house makes you realize whatever that house is relative to, these are the areas that you have the opportunity for incredible spiritual growth, and it makes us so much better. It makes us so much wiser, and it makes us so much more mature. But most of all, when we come from a place of responsibility, this is where we know we have to change, and this is where we will change our lives for the better. So Saturn is our greatest gift, because Saturn gives us maturity and wisdom, and that's what we're here for, to grow. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you want to learn astrology, I have a university, University of Vedic Astrology.com, and I provide a certification to learn all aspects of Vedic astrology. Thank you.